Hello, welcome back to the PLS tutorial. In this tutorial, we are going to discuss about bulk collect and bulk bind. So let's try to recapture a couple of things that we discussed in our previous videos. Let's say in our PLS unit, we have an employee table, and then we are selecting one row at a time. That means what I do is I declare a variable, say X number and Y number, and in begin I do select employee number shall into x comma y from UP. And so in this case, where employee number is equal to, let's say, 783. Okay. So in this case, what is happening is that we are just selecting one row. So therefore, the value of employee number and sal is coming and then stored in this temporary variable x and y. However, if we have to return multiple number of rows by the select statement, then we have to handle that thing using a trick called cursor, right? So in that case, in the second attempt, what we did, we discussed a declare. We declare a cursor C1 age, and then we give this query there, select employee number sal from UP. Then inside the begin and end, we open the cursor. Open cursor means like so this is our EMP table inside the database, and when we declare cursor C1, that means we say that we have a PL/SQL area. Okay, there's a SQL private area where we can keep data from the database to here, right? So whenever we do open C1, so that is the time we are going to get employee number and sal of EMP table to this SQL area. All right. So this is employee number. So this is salary. So we have, so assuming that there are 14 rows in employee table, I have 1, 2, up to 14. Then what I did, I'm going to do fetch C1 into, so some again x and y are number here. So fetch C1 into x comma y. Okay. So in this case, what I'm doing, I'm fetching one element, one row at a time. Then fetch basically open C1, and after that I make a loop, then end loop. So I'm going to loop and then fetch one row at a time to this temporary variable x and y. So this is how this cursor works, right? But here is a problem. It's not is that I'm going to fetch, like here is my temporary variable x and y. So what I'm doing is I'm fetching one value, and then I'm going to get my cursor pointer to the next row, and then I'm going to get whatever the value in the first time. So let's say I fetch 1 and then 100. Employee number 1 and employee salary is 100. Second time is 200. That's the value in the database, right? So therefore, the 2 and 200 is going to come here, and 2 and this x and y becomes like that. So this is not a okay. This is going to work, not a problem. But it's not is that like somebody can give us an ability to fetch the entire column to a variable. Okay, since this entire column is multiple values of employee number, so therefore, if you see, this looks like an array, right? So instead of defining x and y as a number, if I can define something A as an array and B another array, then instead of fetching in a loop, if I can fetch the entire column to this array, then maybe my things will be a bit quicker. Okay, that is exactly the idea behind bulk collect. Okay, so let's take a look at an example. So this is what basically as I told you, right? In a previous case, we are declaring x as a number, that's a variable where it can contain only one value. But instead, what we have to do, if we want to fetch all the column to something, then this something should be a array. An array in PL/SQL is implemented by something called PL/SQL table. Okay, so this is what I'm saying, that employee number is a abstract data type which can contain a variable which is similar to employee tables employee number. Employees tables employee number is a number variable. So therefore, this abstract variable called EMP norm type is going to contain number. And then in the line number 4, I define a variable of M norm tab. So that means with after this statement, what I'm going to have an array. And I do not know what is the size of the array. The size of the array will be determined at the runtime. And then what is that name? The name of that array is L underscore EMP norm. Similarly, I define another array which is going to be L underscore ename, and L underscore ename is going to contain varchar because the L underscore ename is of ename tab type, and ename tab type is defined that it is a table, it's an array which is containing employee number dot ename. Since employee dot ename is a varchar, therefore L underscore ename is going to contain characters. Right. So this is what we are doing in line number 4 and line number 5. This is what we did. Then again we declare this cursor C1. So that means, so there is a private SQL area. The name is C1. C1 will contain two things: employee number and ename. Therefore, I'm going to draw this one. So this is employee number and this is ename. Right. And then it's just like this. Okay. So nothing is there. Just a structure area is reserved in the memory. The name of that area is C1 because this is what we are saying. Then in line number 10, we open C1. So whenever we open C1, so here is my database somewhere. So in my database, I have employee table. So this is a time when from the database employee table, the employee number and employee name is this select statement is executed in the database, and all the data is come and then stay here. So assuming that employee number is 1, employee name is X, 2, A, 3, B, 4, C, and so on. Okay. Then whenever I'm doing fetch C1, and here is the extra keyword that you have to say, bulk collect. So when I'm saying this bulk collect, then what is going to happen? This complete entire column is going to come and then fetched to this variable because I'm doing L underscore EMP number. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is going to come and then stay here. Okay, let's have another 5 Y. So 5. So bulk collect, what it does is going to fetch the values from this private SQL area, which is temporary variable, all the values of this thing at a time. That is important. Okay. So look at this, like look at the previous example whenever we are doing this thing. In that case, we have only one variable called X, which can contain one thing at a time. Therefore, we are doing in the loop, we are fetching that one inside that loop. But if you look at here we do not have any loop and all this thing. We just fetch entire thing to this variable, and this variable, instead of just a single variable, this is an array right now. So in our previous case, in the simple cursor, what we are doing, we are basically declaring A and B as an X and Y as number, right? So therefore, this X and Y are just only one like number data type. So at a time, it can contain only 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever. But what we did here, since we declare this array, so now using bulk collect, we can entirely transfer in one row at a time. The complete employee number will come to and store in L underscore employee number. Similarly, L underscore ename, so it's going to X, A, B, C, and Y. Okay, so this thing completely come and then store here because of line number 11. Then line number 12, we close the cursor. So that means the cursor is gone. So that means this is no more. Okay. However, the temporary variables are right now we populated with L underscore EMP number, L underscore ename, and so on. Then what do? We manipulate using an array manipulation. Okay. So just we are traversing the array in line number 14 to 17 and then flushing out the value of the array. So this is what is called bulk collect. And why do you do bulk collect? The simple reason is that it is faster. Imagine in our previous case, we used to do one at a time. So we are going to fetch this to get to a variable called x, and then it's another variable called y. The value is x, and then we are going to increase the cursor pointer. Cursor pointer is basically point to the first row initially, and once you do, and then it comes to second row, third row, and this thing. So this manipulation is a little bit more work is involved, and how we can prove that by just simply we are going to define we are going to give an example in which we are going to show you how this bulk collect is faster. Okay, but to do that, we are going to select two columns called owner and object name from a table called all underscore objects. All underscore object table will contain about 12,670 number of rows. I do a select count star from all objects, so this is the value I'm getting. The reason I'm going to, instead of selecting from EMP table which just has 14 rows, I'm selecting from all underscore objects which has 12,000 rows, just to show how we can increase data set, how this performance is getting better by using bulk collect. Okay, if you just do an EMP table, maybe you're not able to appreciate the performance impact. So that is the reason I am considering all underscore object, and then I declare two arrays. One array name is called al underscore owner, and another array name called al underscore object. Because I declare two arrays, the reason is that I'm selecting two columns from the database. Then my cursor is C, therefore this is the cursor C name, and at this line number 7 and after line number 8, all this looks like this. Okay, I have two also variable called al underscore start, and al underscore end. Two simple variables which can contain number. Then at line number 11, I find out what is the current time. So let's say time is t1. Then inside the for loop, okay. So here I'm trying to fetch one at a time. It's not a bulk fetch. So here basically when I do for x in C, that means actually this query is executed, and then this temporary SQL area is populated with data from the database table called all underscore objects. Let's say object 1, A, 2, B, 3, C, and so on. Okay, so on 12,000 rows. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to do a for loop. I'm getting one row, and then putting that one, for x in C. So basically, what I'm doing is I create a composite data type called x because of the cursor for loop, and then I'm trying to manipulate that from 12 to 14. I'm just doing nothing. My point here is to show what is the time, but how much time it takes to fetch. Okay, therefore I'm not doing anything, and then after I just loop all these 12,000 rows, I took the time t2, and the difference between time t2 to t1 is actually the time it has taken to complete the task using cursor for loop. Then again I take another time t3. Then here again I open C1. Then I'm exiting when I'm not finding anything. Then what I did a fetch, and here I'm bulk collect to al underscore owner, al underscore object. That means at line number 21, the entire column is going to come and store into al underscore owner. Since I have just 1, 2, 3, and so on, 14,000 whatever. Similarly, the entire column of ABC, the L, what is this called, al underscore object name is come, and I'm going to stay here in this array. Okay, so my array population is done. Then I'm going to close this cursor. That means this cursor is gone. Okay, so no more. This cursor is gone, and then I'm going to take the time for time t4 that took to basically get all this, to fetch this bulk data from this SQL area to this array. Then I took t4. Then try to find out how much time it takes for bulk fetch. If I t4 minus t3 is going to give me that. T2 minus T1 is going to give me how much time it took to just do the cursor for loop without any bulk collect. And I'm just going to show you because I've already done this, written this program. Then I'm going to run this thing. Exactly whatever I explain you there, this is the program on my SQL developer. So I'm going to run, and then hopefully it's going to the comma because it's going to. Okay, so anonymous block is completed. So let's view the dbms underscore output. So looks like the standard page took 138 second. Okay, so let's take. Okay, so this took 138, whereas the other one took 65, and this took 65 seconds. So imagine we are getting almost twice, like our response, our performance. We are improving the performance by almost 100% by using bulk collect as a number suggestive. In one case, 108 second. 8 second is something below microsecond, and that is what we're trying to calculate here. It takes a very less number of time, but look at the difference. In one case, it's taking 65 seconds. In another case, it's taking 138 seconds. And again, if all underscore objects in this, we just only have 14,000 rows. Like if it's going to say 100k rows, then you see again the better performance in case of bulk collect. Similarly, the way that we are doing a bulk collect to retrieve data, we can also do a bulk bind to insert data into database. So all these things we have discussed. I'm going to go through anything more. What I have done here, I have created an array called L underscore tab, and in that array, I'm going to populate by for this for loop 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 1000. Then what I'm going to do in one case, I'm going to insert. So this is my PL and then here is my database where I have a test table, and I'm going to insert to this test table one at a time, one insert at a time. Insert into one, insert into two, insert into three, insert into four, so on, 1000 times. That is the case one. Okay, and this case one is coded here. So this is how the case one. So the case one is I'm going to send 1000 insert statement. However, the same thing can be done using something called for all. Instead of just writing for, if I write for all and I do the same thing, what I can do, I can see that I see the clear difference. Here I have a loop, an end loop. In this for all, I do not have any loop or end loop. So what I'm basically saying that take this entire array, dump into the database table called test by using only one insert statement. Okay. So in this case, this is case 2. This is one insert statement. Here is thousands inserts. This one insert. So you can imagine one insert definitely would be much faster. Okay. So this is called bulk bind. Using bulk bind, we can insert a complete array to the database, and that will be always faster. To showcase that, we're going to go to the example. So that example, whatever I'm showing, I'm going to just run. It's already done for you. And then I run this. Okay. Navigate, and then I'm going to see the dbms underscore output. So let's clear all this thing. So rerun. Okay. So a normal insert take 14. Bulk insert takes 0. 0 means I'm not really computing. I'm not able to compute. So it takes a very, it's less than 1. Okay. So here in example, so this, the time to complete 1000 inserts take 14 seconds. And if I do the same thing using bulk bind, I can take less than 1 second. So here I'm basically getting almost 14 times better performance by using bulk bind. So that is the reason why you use either bulk collect or bulk bind. And with the cursor, you can use bulk collect. And also sometimes just by select statement, you can also bulk collect. So the idea behind that, like if I have to put this thing into this context here, so here I'm selecting and putting into X. Here X is just only a simple variable. What I did in bulk collect, I am selecting all these things and put into something a array that an array. Okay, so instead of x and y, I define an array and I am putting those things. Since this is going to return me multiple rows, therefore this array is going to automatically determine at the runtime based on how many number of rows are coming from the database. The size of array will be determined at the runtime. Okay. So this is how we use bulk collect and bulk find. One more thing that is missing in our cursor, which I thought I'm going to take it here, is that where current of clause. So where current of clause is something like, just take an example, it will be more clear. So I have defined a cursor C1. So this is a cursor C1. And what it can contain? It can contain employee number, job, department number, and SAR. Right? Right? And then it's like this, and then I don't know what are the actual data and all this thing. And when I do open C1, data comes. Right? So let's say I have an employee table, and my employee number is 1. So job is manager, department number 10, salary is 1000. 2, say I'm a clerk, 20, and say 5000. Okay, and so on. These are the data is there in the database. By using this open C1, this cursor is populated. Then I'm fetching C1 into this temporary variable called my underscore employee number, and also once one is come here, manager is come to job, 10 is come to here, 1000 is come to the salary or something. Okay. Then when I do if my job, so now what I'm doing, I'm basically using this loop. I'm traveling this cursor one row at a time. So first time I'm in the first row, and what is my job? My job is manager. So therefore this if condition is not satisfied, therefore no problem. Second time whenever I'm come, my job is clerk. Yes, my job is indeed clerk. So this is satisfied. Then what I'm going to say, I'm going to update the EMP set salary to 1.02. But which row to update? The row to update is what is the current row of the cursor. What is the current row of the cursor? If I'm pointing the second row, that means this is so let me just put in another. So this is my current row right now. All right. If this is my current row, what is the current row salary? Is this one. So what we want to be? We update this salary to 1.02 times. Let's say that was 1.02 of this thing is 5200. Okay. If 5200, then I'm going to update this one. So whenever I'm going to update this private SQL area, automatically in the EMP table in the database, right, from where this data is being fetched in the open time, right? So that thing is reflected to the EMP tables salary column of employee number 2. All right. So basically, what I'm basically essentially doing, I'm updating while I'm manipulating the cursor. I can also ability to update the the table on which that cursor is based. Okay, the table that in this case the table on which this cursor C1 is based was EMP. Therefore, whenever I give this update statement, I'm going to manipulate for that row, for that current row. I can put that. So this is another way by using where current of clause you can manipulate update. The same statement can also be written like instead of writing where current of C1, you can write update EMP set sal is equal to sal multiplied by 1.02 where my underscore job is equal to clock. That can be done. Okay. So instead of writing this update like this, I could have it's equivalent to writing this statement as well. Okay. So, but I think using this where current of clause, you just want to get rid of those things. So whatever I'm making active set, I can update any elements on that. And if I update any elements on that, those things are going to be reflected automatically in my database. Okay. Thank you.